Hello and welcome to Electric Moments. Now, driving an electric vehicle is fundamentally different to driving a combustion engine vehicle. It's quieter, it's more responsive, and usually with significant horsepower, but with that comes some risks. In this episode of Electric Moments, we've come out of the studio to LeasePlan headquarters here in Slough to look at real-world driving experiences of EV drivers getting behind the wheel for the first time.
So the first thing you notice is how silent and smooth it is.
It's actually a little bit, it takes a bit of getting used to.
It does. Such a smooth drive. Give it a little accelerate down here if you like. You feel the power.
Wow.
This episode will help you educate new to EV drivers to ensure fleets and drivers get the most out of their EV, create an EV mindset across all your drivers, ensure your drivers really appreciate the differences between electric vehicles, EVs as I've said, and internal combustion engines, ICE vehicles. For those new to EVs, it's always recommended to have a little training. For some, a thorough handover may be enough. It depends on time and budget. But just ensuring that as part of the handover, the basics are covered. For example, how to charge the vehicle and how to drive it. Well, sounds simple enough. But the reality is, no half-hour familiarisation or one-day training session will really cover what it means to drive an EV. You need to start driving your EV, get to know it in all seasons and all conditions, go through all the seasons to test the technology and understand the impact of the weather on range and performance. If drivers are getting their car in winter, they need to know that the cold weather impacts the battery and they won't get the range that they might enjoy in the summer months. So before handing the keys over for a new EV, make sure your drivers know how to drive it safely and efficiently. And it helps to lay the ground rules before any bad habits set in. As an employer, you know you have a duty of care towards your company drivers. Not only will EV familiarisation help improve driver safety, but it'll really enhance a driver's enjoyment of their electric vehicle, so they might go on to be an ambassador for our electric future.
Today will be the first time that I'll be driving an EV.
So today will be the first time I drive an EV, so I'm looking forward to it.
I haven't driven an automatic car before. Today will be my first time, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, I've had a few friends that had a EV, and they said it's phenomenal. Just the driving experience, the comfortness that goes with the vehicle, the futuristic part of it. So I'm actually excited to experience that firsthand now.
So I've heard EVs are exciting to drive.
I've read a lot of things about EV cars. I would say a mixture of things, like to begin with, when they say, oh, got charged, don't know how it's going to be, change of lifestyle. But I think once they've all had the vehicle, it's all become positive and sort of changed, saying, oh yeah, it works. Actually, it's not as bad as they thought, I would say, or charging it regularly. It's like maybe once a week, twice a week. And we don't realize we do a short journeys most of the time. And if that's the case, you don't charge it that much.
What I'm most excited about in my experience today would be just feel what it feels like to drive an electric vehicle. I mean, we've all been driving combustion cars all our lives. So is there a big difference in terms of your foot to the middle, or put the foot down to the middle and see what it does?
I think once I'm out in the EV vehicle today, I'm most excited for the feel of the drive and getting used to the car itself, and just experiencing all the technology that it's got. I think if I was concerned about driving the EV today, one of the concerns would be the acceleration. I've heard quite a bit about the acceleration, so I think that might be a concern, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
So first things first, you need to understand EV performance, and by that I mean power. For example, this Tesla Model 3 dual motor long range has around 450 horsepower. Now 20 years ago, the Porsche 911 Turbo had a similar horsepower. So with power comes responsibility. You need to be clear how to control that power. You can get a speeding ticket very easily if you're not careful and conscious. But let's talk about braking, specifically regenerative braking. Now, regen is a key feature which converts kinetic energy back into electrical energy to recharge the EV's batteries. So when you lift your foot from the accelerator pedal or lightly press the brake pedal, the electric motor acts as a generator and creates reverse torque to the wheels, slowing the car down, but also putting energy back into the battery. In most cases, you won't use the mechanical brakes at all. To give you an idea of how much energy recapture is available, it's around 10% through normal driving and up to 30% coming down hills. Avoiding heavy braking maximizes the energy you recover. This means by introducing and using regen braking in your driving style, you can actually add range to your battery. It's also worth mentioning eco mode here. Now, many EVs have eco mode, which can reduce the amount of energy used by softening the throttle response, limiting power, and reducing the energy used by onboard systems such as air conditioning. And with that, you'll be able to go further.
So I have heard of regen braking before, but I've never had a chance to experience it. It is different, but you can get used to it, I think, and it just slows you down completely without using the brakes, basically.
I learnt a lot about the regen braking. That's really interesting and useful to know.
What I learned today about my EV experience and regen braking was something new, something out there to try and get used to that moment happening in the vehicle. It's good for the vehicle because it puts all the energy back into the vehicle, so there's nothing lost. So it's fantastic, I would say.
We'll be taking you through the safe driving techniques for driving an EV here. First, get to know the tech on your vehicle, specifically sensors, as they are the eyes that let your vehicle see its surroundings. So here's a tip: keep them clean so they can see. There's lane assist, blind spot monitoring, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, lane centering assist, automatic high beams that block out oncoming cars, and 360 surround cameras. There are a lot of driver aids to assist you, but nothing beats safe and careful driving. The handling of your EV might also feel a bit different. This is mainly down to the fact that there's more weight in the car and it's more evenly distributed as the battery is under the cabin rather than just under the bonnet. But also because the drive may not be what you're used to. A lot of cars on EV-specific platforms have the electric motor at the rear axle, putting the power to the rear wheels. Even models such as the Corsa E, which are based on the same layout as their petrol or diesel versions, kick out more power than the petrol or diesel counterparts. And from the moment you press the throttle.
The acceleration of the vehicle was amazing. It was instant, responsive. Didn't feel no pressure to it, I'd say. The car felt so light, like there was no weight to the vehicle, I would say. The response rate of the acceleration was great as well. Didn't expect electric's going to be this instant.
It was phenomenal. The acceleration was phenomenal. It was instant. As soon as you put your foot down, car just kicked in. It was from 0 to hero, basically. Well, the benefits I could see from that acceleration would be it's instant when you need it there. If you needed to quickly overtake someone in a situation, it's there, it's responsive, there's no lag, and that's pretty much it. That's what you need in a vehicle, right?
Let's now take a look at what's keeping you on the road, the tyres. Now, you need to appreciate the importance of tyre condition, in particular, correct tyre pressures. The PSI, pounds per square inch, is usually higher for an EV. For example, between 30 and 45 PSI. So make sure to check them regularly. Underinflated tyres affect efficiency for all cars and will compromise the range in an EV. Now, as you probably expect, high speeds increase energy consumption in EVs, as they do in other vehicles. Whereas a petrol or diesel car is most efficient while cruising at a constant speed, electric vehicles will have a slight reduction in range if there are fewer opportunities for regenerative braking. Ultimately, electric vehicles reward smooth and anticipatory driving with longer range. Watch the road ahead. Don't be too aggressive with the throttle or brakes. It will also make you a safer driver. So it's really just an iPhone with wheels. Electric vehicles are usually fitted with smart and connected features which enable you to get more out of them and really unlock the advantages of an electric life. Most models offer the ability to preset cabin temperatures based on your departure time. This means the car will defrost automatically on a cold morning or cool the cabin before you get in on a hot summer's day while you have breakfast. Not only does this save time, but if it's plugged in, it'll take the energy from the mains rather than the battery, so you'll leave with 100% of your range. Similar features will defer charging until preset times, which means if you're on a cheaper overnight tariff, you'll save even more money on fuel. Electricity can be half the cost during off-peak times, and less carbon intensive too. Most vehicles include an onboard data connection, linking them to a smartphone app. Nice to be sitting at your desk, check your phone, and know you're up to 70%. It also helps you to be a considerate EV driver, so you know when to move your car when it's charged up and let someone else plug in. And you have confidence that you've got enough to get home, so no nasty surprises.
Definitely got my electric moment.
I've obviously been outside them and heard them from the outside, but actually being inside the car was really, really quiet.
The biggest surprise for me was how easy it felt to drive the vehicle, not knowing what to expect, just to get in there, and it just came so naturally. And also the variety that's out there in the car market at the moment in the EV world.
It was really, really good to see all the kind of different things that you can play around with and do inside of it. Another thing for me was the space. The back is really, really nice, big and spacious, and the floors are quite flat, but because it's quite high up off the ground, it's a really good look to the car. After today, it's really shocked me. It's opened my eyes up to actually what is out there. The market is changing, and I think, yeah, I can definitely see myself driving an electric vehicle.
So, charging guidance and journey planning. Always start with the end in mind. What is your destination? And work back from there. A route planner and Zap Map will become your favourite new apps. Both can plan routes which incorporate the shortest charging stop with the smallest detours. So, what happens when you get to a charging point? Well, for long journeys, you will typically be using your car's CCS rapid charging connector. Now, the cable is tethered to the charge point, so you don't need to bring your own cable. But the connector will look slightly different. It uses 2 additional pins, which will be under a plastic cover on the car. So you just remove that cover and plug in. The combined charging system, CCS, was standardized across Europe in 2013, and pretty much all new cars now use the same connector. So you're not going to arrive at a charge point and find you can't plug in. Rapid chargers are also required now by law to offer access without needing an account. The vast majority will let you tap a credit or debit card when you arrive and pay as you top up. Slower destination chargers, typically found in car parks, supermarkets, hotels, they have a universal socket, Type 2. That's the top bit of the charger. Similarly, it doesn't matter what connection is on the car, the cable will be compatible with the charge point. And if you're wondering, can't someone just unplug my cable? No. Cars with Type 2 connectors will lock the cable in place before the charging session begins and only unlock when you're ready to go. And don't forget, treat the cables with respect. Don't leave them where they'll obstruct pedestrians or could get damaged. And put tethered cables back neatly. And if it's your own cable, well, put it in the boot for safety, not on the footwell where it could get damaged. Well, there you have it. A handful of new EV drivers are on their way. As you may have gathered, it's different, but it's not that different. So what's holding you back? The team at LeasePlan are here to help you start your electric journey. So why not get in touch?
This is the future, right?
Yeah, it really is.